It's just gone 8 o'clock on this Monday, the 10th of November, 2025. You're watching the main news on ZBC live from Pocketsville in Harare. I am Mona Lisa Dube.
And my name is Malvin Magtala, and Noble Maungwa will be giving us the bulletin in sign language. We'll also be crossing over to our Montreal studios later on in the bulletin. Our
top stories this evening. 3 new envoys present credentials to President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
In other news, job seekers are to spend more time behind bars following initial appearance at the Pretoria Magistrates Court.
And in arts, historic 2026 Grammy Awards for Zimbabwe's township music.
We'll also be taking a look at our sports news, where Zimbabwe Cricket has named a 15-man squad for the upcoming T20 International Triangular Series in Pakistan.
Now the news in detail. 3 new ambassadors from the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ghana and Zambia have presented their credentials to President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House in Harare, pledging to work towards deepening bilateral relations between Zimbabwe and their countries. We hear more from our chief correspondent, Ruben Barwe.
It was quite a hectic morning for the President of the Republic, Comrade Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, as he received credentials from 3 ambassadors. First to call on him was the new ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Amir Hossein, who presented his credentials to the president in the presence of the foreign minister and the acting secretary for foreign and international trade. Iran and Zimbabwe relations are excellent politically, and there is a lot of trade between the 2 countries. Looking at Muzoni, which is a textile industry, also there is an anticipation for them to start building tractors in Zimbabwe, as the Zimbabwe's agriculture industry is looking at this boost.
We are in the process, the final process, and also we discussed it with His Excellency the Honorable President, to reopening our tractor manufacturing factory in Zimbabwe. We are also invigorating our efforts to have medicine, factories here in Zimbabwe also in near future. It is our short-term program. Also, we have planned to have and exchange several delegations on different, aspects of our relations.
Second to present his credentials to the president is the new Ghanaian ambassador, Mr. Bonaventure Ajavu, who presented his credentials to the president at State House. What is interesting is that Ghana is the first country in Africa to attain independence in 1957. And the first president of the republic stayed in Ghana, came back home, and was part of that group that pushed the Rhodesians to negotiations initially, but later on led to the armed struggle. The first lady of this country was Mama Sally Mugabe, who was originally from Ghana. She's a national heroine of this country.
The economic front is very critical for us. There is too much low trade between the 2 countries. We need to elevate that to enhance trade, accelerate trade between the 2 countries. Currently, the trade between Ghana and Zimbabwe is very low. Meanwhile, we have commonality products. We have a lot of products we need to trade in, taking advantage of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, where exports from Zimbabwe to Ghana go duty-free. Likewise, Ghana to Zimbabwe duty-free. All we need to work on is the transport infrastructure to bring goods.
Last to present the credentials to the president is the new Zambian ambassador, Brigadier General Wilson Tembo, who also spoke about Zimbabwe-Zambia relations being Siamese twins, as people often refer that type of relationship between Zambia and Zimbabwe. The 2 countries share a lot in common, and the President of the Republic grew up in Zambia, but realizing that his parents had moved to Zambia due to colonial Rhodesia's policies. And Brigadier General Tembo spoke about this relationship.
We had discussions on the many areas of cooperation between our two countries, mainly in the areas of energy, transport, agriculture, tourism. We spoke also about the number of memoranda of understanding that have been signed between the two countries. There are still a few others that are work in progress, which the two countries are working on. And of course, we spoke about the Zambia's steadfast support for Zimbabwe in its quest for a non-permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council.
So at the end of the day, Zimbabwe-Zambia relations are very excellent. And the three countries, that is the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Republic of Ghana in West Africa, and Zambia, just next door, up north. These are very close countries to Zimbabwe. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, State of Harare.
Meanwhile, a Dutch company, Ramphastos Investments, has pledged to expand its mining investment portfolio in Shamba after endorsing Zimbabwe's Open for Business mantra. The firm's delegation met with President Mnangagwa at State House in Harare to inform him of their intentions. Chief Correspondent Ruben Barwe also gives us the details on that.
It all began in Davos when the president some few years back visited Davos for the World Economic Forum. And what came out of it is this investment. They've so far invested over $25 million and wish to expand. So they came to the president to say, we have seen there is a country open for business. That's why they're here. We managed to speak to the spokesperson, who is the campaign secretary, Mr. Rusike, who gave us a bout-by-bout account.
The president, for a very long time, he has been calling for business and saying Zimbabwe is open for business. So the delegation I was with here is a delegation of shareholders in Canterbury Mining. I think if you have been seeing the news, they have been doing a lot of corporate social responsibility. So what they are trying to do now is that they want to expand. So they come to the president to tell them that as investors we are confident with the country and we want to work more. Canterbury Mine, mining gold, and then we're saying that we have built a state-of-the-art school which houses 750 students, and we have also built accommodation for 18 teachers there at Sitoke Primary School.
How much is the investment so far?
25 million.
25 million.
And
you want to expand maybe double?
Yes, we want to expand even more than that.
So to those who are fancy sitters out there, Zimbabwe is really open for business, as seen by a number of people who are making visits to hear from the highest office in the land whether they can expand their business. And it's true, they are expanding their business. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, State House, Harare.
Zimbabwe will this Tuesday join other progressive nations at Angola's 50th independence celebrations, a platform for deepening bilateral relations between the two nations in various sectors of the economy.
It is the 50th independence celebrations for Angola this Tuesday, an event which is set to attract heads of state and government from across the globe. The existing bilateral relations between Angola and Zimbabwe will see President Emmerson Mnangagwa joining other heads of state and government for the main event. Zimbabwe's ambassador to Angola, Thando Madzamuse, explained the importance of the event in forging strategic partnerships.
They've got a very good reason for celebrating these 50 years of independence, having endured all the difficulties which they went through. We're delighted that His Excellency the President is also joining other heads of state and government to celebrate 50 years of independence for the country. Zimbabwe and Angola enjoy cordial bilateral relations. After their independence in 1975, they didn't waste no time to assist us in fighting for our liberation. We established bases here.
Angola has vast investment opportunities which local business people can take advantage of in the agriculture, commerce and education sectors.
We signed a number of agreements, many agreements indeed, during the second session across all fields, political, socio-economic, and otherwise. We are making use of all those agreements to ensure that our relations do get some traction. We always argue that those agreements, just on paper, they mean nothing. They should, at the end of the day, translate into something tangible between the peoples of the two countries, that is, in terms of economic benefits.
MPLA of Angola assisted ZANU with training camps across the country to ensure that Zimbabwe gains its independence in 1980. Zimbabwe and Angola have signed a memorandum of understanding which local business people can exploit through setting up businesses in Angola, riding on the existing political and economic relations. Bruce Chawanda, SABC News, Luanda.
Moving on to other news, Zimbabwe has cut the dairy import bill by over 20% on the back of growth of output from 80 million litres last year to 90 million litres this year. Now, the dairy import bill dropped from over 15 million United States dollars in the first 9 months of last year to below $10 million, and that is United States dollars during the same period this year. The Zimbabwe Dairy Industry Trust chairperson, Mr. Themba Mutsvairo, spoke to the ZBC News about the developments amid the national target of producing 130 million litres of milk per year.
Increased milk intake is a progress towards self-sufficiency and exports. Because with the increased output at farm level, it means that we reduce the dependency on the imports of milks and therefore increase our production output at our local factories. Also, this will lead to self-sufficiency, and it's aligned to our 2030 agenda of being a middle income society country. The dairy industry in Zimbabwe, we need it to grow further. Why? Because its growth will bring further economic growth and viability. Why? Because if we are now producing more milk, it means that our capacity utilization will be better, and it means that even at farm level, the unit cost of production will be lower because of economies of scale.
The rehabilitation of water distribution pipes under a deal forged between the city of Harare and the Chinese company Helcro Electrical has started, with the first phase targeting over 100 kilometers.
Replacing the old with the new, the city of Harare has started implementing rehabilitation work of the water pipes in Harare as it prepares for an efficient rollover to smart water meters for the city. The initiative is part of an agreement sealed between Harare City Council, Helcro Water, and Lizon Technology under Build, Operate and Transfer, which is expected to introduce over 500,000 smart water meters for the capital city.
So we are now targeting replacements on our distribution network where the damage has been extensive, and putting these PVC pipes that will make sure that we have cleaner water, we have less leakages, and we are trying to reduce the non-revenue water from 60% to an internationally acceptable percentage, which will be about 10% or less.
Helcro Water Managing Director Mr. Zedok Muchoko notes smart water meters will offer the public with real-time monitoring and consumption control.
We are in Warrenbach. We have started the project. We have promised that we are going to replace the pipes, the old pipes. As you can see, we are removing the asbestos pipes that were installed long back, which are now, this is a 200-meter stretch, which is supposed to take water from the reservoir to the residents. But because of the damaged pipes, the water was no longer flowing. So we removed this stretch and we are replacing with the PVC pipes.
Legislators who have an oversight on local government are also optimistic on the outcomes of the project.
A few days ago, we've been to Bulawayo doing pre-budget seminar, where the ministry was looking for 32 billion, but the treasury was prepared only to provide 4 billion. So there's a funding gap, there's a problem. So the only way to solve the problem is to bring in the public-private, partnership. So with this development, as Parliament, we are excited because this was one of our recommendations as a committee.
Government notes smart water meters are a global standard being adopted to encourage responsible usage and give users value for money.
Refuse collection is done, sewer management is done. So we've now done refuse collection and waste management. We are now on water. And I'm happy that our investors told us that this project is divided into 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to be concluded in 3 months, and hopefully by our celebrations of the next independence, we'll be drinking very clean water.
Under the deal, Harare is expected to increase the purified water capacity from the current 340 megaliters per day to 520 megaliters per day. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
The Midlands Province is strengthening its economic development coordination mechanisms, which are anchored on private sector-led investments to grow its provincial economy. This emerged during a tour of the province by the visiting African Peer Review Mechanism delegation, which is in the country. We get that report from John Nandara.
The visiting African Peer Review Mechanism team is engaged with citizens and various stakeholders in the Midlands Province as part of its targeted review process.
Chirongwa chakanyanya kutinakira senharaunda pakuti chinotipa mukana wokutaura pachena uye tichibatsiridzanawo senyika dzemuAfrica kwete seZimbabwe chete.
Tichiri kuita kuti isu tidzidzewo zvinenge zvavanenge vauya nazvo, isu tichivaudzawo mararamiro namagariro muno.
Yaita kuti tisangane nemamwe masectors are different from us.
The visit will offer the African Peer Review Mechanism team an opportunity to get valuable insights on how governance principles are applied at provincial and district levels.
We are coming here to Midlands to collect data, to learn from you, to hear you talking, to listen to whatever you have as observations about how the situation is in Zimbabwe nowadays.
It is a mirror through which member states can reflect on their governance practices and assess the progress in promoting democracy, economic management, and social development. It allows countries to identify and acknowledge their achievements and areas that require improvement. Through this self-assessment and peer learning process, the PRM encourages transparency, accountability, and collective and inclusive growth among African nations.
Your participation reflects the inclusive and the consultative nature of the African Peer Review Mechanism.
Earlier on during the day, the delegation met with Midlands Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Owen Ncube, where they were briefed about economic developments taking place in the Midlands Province.
The province has second largest growing GDP at 4.7%, anchored on huge private sector-led investments in 1, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, construction, tourism, creating jobs, income, and improving the livelihoods underpinned by the provincial economic development plan that guides our economic growth and recovery.
The delegation concluded its visit in the Midlands Province by touring the Midlands State University National Pathology Research and Diagnostic Center in Gweru. Zimbabwe's ongoing targeted review by the African Peer Review Mechanism is focusing on economic governance and management thematic area. John Nandara, ZBC News, Chirumanzu.
Meanwhile, the African peer review mechanism is harnessing the youth dividend in governance issues to achieve Africa's development goals. This emerged at a youth symposium held in conjunction with the Pan-African Parliament in Midrand in South Africa this Monday.
This is a test of what was in store at the Pan-African Parliament in Midrand, South Africa this Monday. The energy resembling the youth dividend, but most importantly, echoes from the deep in terms of inclusion in governance issues.
What brings me here is just trying to understand how government or governance in itself is incorporating the youth in decision making.
We need youth here. As much as it's important to have youth at the national level, we also need youth representing at a continental level.
Most of the youth is out in the streets and they're not really engaged. So I think it's important for us to empower the youth, impart knowledge and cause awareness for them to actually realize the importance that they have.
It also emerged that harnessing the youth dividend is a priority for the African peer review mechanism and the Pan-African Parliament after a joint effort in hosting the youth symposium in South Africa.
This symposium therefore serves as the initial vital consultation in engaging African youth on the status of governance, and we aim to work with all stakeholders, ministries of youth, national parliaments, youth councils, business forums, civil society, the AU and the UN institutions to mobilize young people in contributing to the Africa Governance Report of 2027.
We are told that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AfCFTA, is now the future of Africa. Our youth are aware first, and are aware of opportunities that will arise. Because we are told if AfCFTA succeeds, economies on this continent will expand by 32%.
At the end of the day, the growing influence of Gen Z cannot be ignored as Africa pursues a more inclusive development agenda. Ian Zoma, ZBC News, Midrand.
From Ian Zoma's report in Midrand, we'll also take a look at what's happening in South Africa, because National Democratic Working Group leader Job Sikala and his associate Alexander Tema will have to spend more time behind bars following their initial appearance at the Pretoria Magistrates Court in South Africa this Monday, charged with illegal possession of explosives.
During court proceedings in South Africa this Monday, the South African state requested additional time to investigate the matter, so it means Sikala and his associate Tema will be in custody until Wednesday for a formal bail hearing. The duo was arrested on Friday on allegations of illegal possession of explosives. Sikala, who is in South African prison, is not new to controversy. In 2014, Sikala was arrested on allegations of treason after he claimed that he wanted to topple the Mugabe regime. In 2022, Sikala was arrested on allegations of mobilizing people to revolt against the government, claiming that the state had killed one Moblessing Ali, but it was later found out that Ali was not killed by the state security. To show that he is not new to controversy, while in prison in 2024, he bragged that he had been arrested more than 60 times. It is also alleged that after his release, Sikala went on to attack the government and several people. From now until Wednesday, Sikala will be behind bars. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
You can revisit all the stories we've covered so far on our website. That's www.zbcnews.co.zw. You can also give us your feedback through our social media platforms or under the banner ZBC News Online. That's on YouTube, Facebook and X.
Still to come in the bulletin, historic 2026 Grammy Awards for Zimbabwe's township music.
Later on in sports, Zimbabwe Cricket names a 15-man squad for the upcoming T20 International Triangular Series. And this is going to be happening in Pakistan. The main news takes a short break. Stay with us.
Zimbabwe inhaka yedu. Zimbabwe is our heritage.
This festive season is the right time to travel.
Local is local.
Zimbabwe 2025, #1 destination in the world, according to Forbes magazine. This festive season, travel local and experience our heritage. Zimbabwe, inhaka yedu, ilifa letu. Experience Zimbabwe. Zimbo.
Vanoda valisi dziitai aye. Varimi vese itai aye. Vanoda go itai aye. Simudza gorako. Kurumiza. Ndogona kungoti oyo. Vavalisi dzipada moyo. Vanyai vana amanyina na baba. Kurumiza. Mbeu kwayo rikuvhalisitsi. Airowe nezvifukuto kana tsikitsi. Kana zvirwere ende nokupa harvest. Apa ndiri kurevesa very honest. Nevhalisitsi itai aye. Varimi vese itai aye.
Mwaka uno tenga mbeu yako ku Valley Seeds usimudze goho rako. Valley Seeds vauchiki vembeu yechibage yepana nePioneer, Goros, ma-traditional grains nema-vegetable seeds ose anopa goho repamusoro-soro. Valley Seeds, where farming meets the farmer.
The government of Zimbabwe is proud to host the 5th African Public Procurement Network General Assembly from the 11th to the 14th of November 2025 at the Elephant Hills Resort in Victoria Falls. Under the inspiring theme, Transforming Public Procurement in Africa through Innovation, Inclusion, Sustainability and Regional Collaboration, this event brings together 53 African countries organized into 5 regional networks: North, East, West, Central and Southern Africa. This assembly is more than just a gathering. It's a vital platform where leaders, procurement experts and stakeholders come together to exchange lessons learned and best practices. It's a space to strengthen institutions and systems, to promote innovative solutions to procurement challenges, and to address governance and strategic planning issues across the continent. Join us in shaping the future of public procurement in Africa, where collaboration meets innovation and progress knows no bounds. Together, we are building a stronger, more sustainable Africa.
Welcome back. You're still watching the main news. Zimbabwe has been elected as one of the vice presidents of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, UNWTO General Assembly, representing the UN Tourism Regional Commission for Africa together with Nigeria. The appointment was made at the 26th session of the UNWTO General Assembly, which is currently underway in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Speaking on the sidelines of the assembly, the Minister of Tourism and Hospitality Industry, that is Honorable Barbara Rodzi, believes the vice presidency provides Zimbabwe with a strategic platform to champion Africa's tourism agenda, as well as promote sustainability and influence critical decisions shaping the future of the global tourism policy.
A big conversation during this General Assembly here in Riyadh has been about artificial intelligence and how it can transform tourism. We are part of this conversation as Zimbabwe. We are not lagging behind, definitely, as we also want to embrace artificial intelligence in our tourism sector as a nation. We want to congratulate His Excellency President Edi Mnangagwa for already having an artificial intelligence strategy in place. It's also a milestone for our country, as many, many other countries are lagging behind in this respect. Artificial intelligence is reshaping the way tourism is planned, the way tourism is experienced and managed, from a personalized travel recommendations and an artificial intelligence-powered chatbots and data-driven visitor flow management and sustainability monitoring, the technology of redefining competitiveness and service delivery in destinations worldwide. This is what we are already doing in tourism.
Private sector players have shown keen interest to continue investing in schools construction in order to ensure the attainment of the national target of having a school within a 5-kilometer radius. The ZBC News crew was in Harare's Southerton suburb, where the first secondary school to service the area is nearing completion and is expected to enroll Form 1 learners beginning January next year.
The role that infrastructure plays in the growth and development of education cannot be overemphasized. And come next year, this mega structure will be opening its doors to secondary school learners in Southerton and surrounding areas. And this school will become the first secondary school in the area. And the school authorities are confident that the quality of education that the learners are going to get is that befitting of the 21st century.
We have about 30 classes, excluding of the laboratories and the libraries, staff rooms, etc. So all in all, we have, it's a big building, it's a big investment. As of last week, we were like taking from the contractor's perspective, he reached the point of 2,100,000 at the moment, before these touch-ups that are being carried out.
The local political leadership has applauded the private sector for living up to government's Nyika Inovakwa Neve Nevayo philosophy, while the residents are equally excited by this development.
Ine development yakakurisa zvikuru muno muSoutherton, even kune mamwe provinces hakuna zvikoro zvakafanana nechikoro chataona chavakwa panapa. Development iyi yanakira isu zvikuru sei sevanhu vemuno muSoutherton.
Mazuva ano vana vari kurepwa nyange makombi, vana vanenge vachiharaswa nesu vabereki. Dzimwe nguva mari chaiyo yetransport yevana inge ichitinetsa, asi kuuya kwaita Harvard Senior School kwatibatsira.
Tavakirwa chikoro chakanaka, tinonzwa kufara sezvo chiricho chikoro chekutanga secondary muSoutherton.
Tiri kufara zvisingaiti nechikoro chatavakiwa munzvimbo yedu yeSoutherton.
We spoke to the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable Torerai Moyo, after he toured the school.
We have seen several schools being built by both the government and the private players. This is an investment. So here we are saying we want to commend the tireless efforts of the government in school construction so that we reduce the traveling distances.
Zimbabwe has constructed more than 600 schools since 2022, and this year government set a target to construct 120 schools. And according to the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Honorable Torerai Moyo, this target could actually be surpassed. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
Now, an update on the African peer review mechanism delegations visit. You remember we gave you another story where we covered that they are in the country to review economic governance. Now, they also visited Mashonaland West Province, and this happened today. Our reporter Tamuka Charayakupa will be giving us that report.
In Mashonaland West Province, the APRM team, led by Director of Country Reviews and Assessments, Dr. Rachel Mukamnana, visited several projects, including the Industrial and Innovation Hub at Chinhoyi University of Technology, Kata. The delegation hailed Zimbabwe for forging ahead with the developmental initiatives despite the presence of illegal sanctions imposed on the country by the West.
Illegal sanctions which were imposed on Zimbabwe, we know that they have had negative effects or impact on the economy in terms of attracting investors. But on the positive side, it had made the country more resilient, looking inwards. And now you have all these innovations that are coming up.
From food processing to engineering prototypes, the university's innovation drive is helping bridge the gap between academia and industry while supporting national priorities on value addition.
We are here in Mash West, which we know is known as Mash Best, isn't it? To see the infrastructure development, to see the other projects, and also, for them to look at some of the best practices that we have so that they may be able to share with other countries.
Earlier on, the APRM delegation paid a courtesy call on Mashonaland West Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Marin Chombo, where it was briefed on the province's investment landscape and progress under devolution.
We've seen that we have a lot of activities on the road network. It's all from our domestic, our own resources from the country. If you look back, we went through the COVID, we went through Idai, but we survived through our own resources from the country. So I think as Zimbabwe, under the illegal sanctions, we have done very well.
The delegation also held stakeholder cluster focus groups discussions to gather views on governance, economic development, and citizen participation. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Chinhoyi.
That report takes us to our Montrose studios, where Marilyn Gwenya is on standby to give us more news. Good evening.
Good evening and many thanks to you, Malvin. In our following report, the ZANU-PF-led government continues to empower millions of Zimbabweans, with Beitbridge East residents being the latest to benefit from the poultry projects.
Beitbridge East residents this Sunday gathered at the Beitbridge District Club to receive broiler chicks and other inputs to kickstart their poultry projects.
ngauri zvezvino rivokwanisa kugudhisa vana vavo rine richibhadhara school fees ngaufuwa kuu
kwaiko zvino zvinhasi tapiwa huku chikafu kuvanhu vekuBeitbridge. Tinovadira izvozvo maprojects akawandisa chaizvo atinopiwa navaMunangagwa.
Isese turazimu district tapiwa huku kuti tiwane kuti tizipfuwe netapuwa zvese nechikafu kuti kana dzikaibva tigotengesa tigowana pokutangira.
Toda kutenda president wedu waMunangagwa nevision yawo vision 2030 vari kutibatsira nezvakawanda. Nhasi vapawo vagari veBeitbridge huku kuti vabatsirikane mumabasa avo.
Government has made remarkable achievements in poverty reduction in various communities under the Leaving No One and No Place Behind mantra.
Takavavhotera, wavhotera havana kukanganwa kuti vanhu vakandivhotera ava. Chituro chandinacho ichi chiri kubva kune vanhu ivava. Ini ndofanirwa kuti ndiyeuke kwandakabva kuti ndakabva kupi. Nekuti kana uchiyeuka kwawakabva namangwana zvinongoramba zvakadaro. Tapiwa huku nechikafu kubva nhasi kusvika huku idzodzo tidzitengese.
Ndikuyango in power vana vaBeitbridge East. Ndikopa vatu dzikuu. Ndidovafidhera dzila kuu ubva ngamastarter grower to finish.
Since its inception in 2017, the Second Republic is recording progress through people-tailored policies responsive to their needs. Aifeli Mudau, ZBC News, Beitbridge.
Business people operating in the Midlands province have hailed government for taking bold steps to slash some taxes and license fees as part of the ease of doing business reforms.
It emerged at a national tax symposium held in Gweru this Monday that most upcoming businesses were losing out on big opportunities due to some tax requirements which were beyond their reach.
Lona uthi pane nyaya ye value added tax, so kune ma options ekuthi kune voluntary ne non voluntary whereby unofanwa ku reach a threshold of a minimum of 25,000 per annum kuti ukwanise kuva uri VAT registered. So issue inenge ichinetsa ndeye kuti some entrepreneurs are starting to meet that threshold and kuti usapply vanenge vachida kuti uve ne fiscalized tax invoice. So to get that fiscalized tax invoice unofanwa kunge uri VAT registered. So at the end of the day, you see kuti ma entrepreneurs are kuluza matenda akakura.
As people with disability, kana tave nemota, toda kuti mota dzedu dzipindewo pama toll gates, tingo piwa a card yekuti tingoshowa kuti there's a person with disability ane mota yake ingopindawo just for free.
Inini handirwadziwi nekubhadhara tax because I'm already registered, but I'm worried nevanhu vari mustreet vasiri registered. If there was a way yekuti tibatsirike senyika tibvise vanhu vari mustreet.
The country's tax collector Zimra says it has intensified the fight against smuggling in a move aimed at improving the national coffers.
Zimra iri kushanda pamwe chete nema agencies of the state vachiita ma roadblocks nema patrols. So muma roadblocks nema patrols imomo ma goods anenge asina kupinda munyika zvakanaka asina kubhadhara duty ari kubatwa ma offenders vachibhadhariswa additional duty nepenalty. So it's a successful project pakuti we have seen an increase in the revenue.
The development comes at a time Treasury continues to undertake sweeping reforms to improve the ease of doing business in various sectors of the economy, as directed by President Emmerson Mnangagwa to create a conducive economic environment. 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, Professor Mthuli Ncube, announced the removal of 11 local authorities' licenses by combining it into a unitary license for butchery, bakeries, restaurants, and takeaways. We used to pay as much as 2,300 United States dollars. Tafaraj Kumira, ZBC News, Gweru.
And that report takes us back to Pocket Hill Studios in Harare, where Malvin is on standby. Malvin, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Marilyn, for taking us through part of the bulletin. We now continue with another story where government is looking to leverage on artificial intelligence in the National Security Initiative. Now, Wellington Makonese was at the National Defence University and they filed this following report.
Artificial intelligence, from predictive surveillance to cybersecurity, is fast becoming a cornerstone to global security systems. Here at the Zimbabwe National Defence University, the Minister of ICT, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable Tatenda Mawetera, delivered a lecture that was into integrating artificial intelligence in national defence and security systems.
Within the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, we spoke about data sovereignty. We talked about data assets. So it's important because our data assets are protected by our security forces. So it's quite important that they are also embraced, because the next war is going to be digital. And now if you look at it, even the current wars that are actually happening now, they are very digital. So as a country, we need to be very much prepared. As much as we talk about social facets, but what is quite important is that all these social facets, they are embedded in the security systems.
While Cabinet has already approved the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2026 to 2030, Honorable Mawetera says This strategy aims to enhance economic development and uphold sovereignty.
We are happy that as Zimbabwe, we've already started embracing by us having the requisite laws, the AI strategy, which is already put in place for us to be quite clear that this is the trajectory we need to take. We need to capacitate our workforce. We need to continuously be able to engage. Let's create awareness. Let's be able to embrace. Because as much as it is as a country, our data sovereignty is key.
As Zimbabwe continues on the digital transformative drive, discussions are around embracing AI, of course, looking at the brighter side with vigilance and strategic foresight. Wellington Maponese, ZBC News, Harare.
As the country transitions from the National Development Strategy 1 to NDS 2 at the end of this year, government has reiterated the need for local authorities to prioritize service delivery for the attainment of Vision 2030.
Stakeholders who attended engagement meetings between government, Masvingo City Council and Masvingo Road District Council recently said improved access to clean water, inclusive infrastructure and empowerment programs must be prioritized by local authorities under NDS 2.
Marodzi edu anoda kugara achiitwa rehabilitation, kugradiwa kwawo continuously nekuti panonaya pese marodhi aya anotanga kudzikira futi.
Zvivakwa ngavatarise zvose zvive very inclusive, zvisasiya munhu akaremara.
Tinenge tichishuvira kuti madzimai avakigwe misika yekuti vanotengesa zvakasununguka uye zvibhorani pamisika yavanenge vanayo.
Masvingo Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Ezra Chadzamira, who chaired the two meetings, said local authorities must remain at the center of transforming people's livelihoods through efficient and accountable service delivery systems.
Isu province yeMasvingo tine target yedu ye 8 billion economy, ndio kuti titi taachieve national vision. Saka tinofanira kunge tichionesana kuti vashande pamwe chete takwanisa kupedza ma projects a completed devolution anoenda 180 and about 70 projects ari kunge achifanira kunge achipera mukupera kwegore rino iri.
The two local authorities representatives said the engagement is timely as they are reviewing their service delivery plans for the next 5 years.
As a city, we want to get feedback from the stakeholders, which feedback we are also going to be using when we prepare our strategic plans that will run from 2026 to 2030 in concurrence with our NDS2 as we move the final lap of Vision 2030.
In terms of our projects and programs since the inception of the Second Republic, I think we have managed to implement almost 10 impact projects.
In 2023, government launched a service delivery blueprint for local authorities, providing councils with clear framework for planning and improving service delivery, while devolution funds have enabled the implementation of key community projects such as clinics, schools, water systems and road upgrades. Ms. Matina, ZBC News, Masvingo.
We now take another short break. When we come back, we take a look at the world of the creatives in the arts.
The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe would like to warn all motorists and passengers against overloading, as this can lead to loss of life and premature death. Overloading can cause instability to the vehicle, thereby making it harder to steer, whether on straight roads, bends, or when it hits a pothole. Say no to overloading. You never know, the life you save might be your own. This message was brought to you by the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, TSCZ, keeping Zimbabwe's roads safe.
people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching the main news here on ZBC. We now look at arts and entertainment news. Zimbabwe is once again shining on the global stage, this time at the world's biggest celebration of music with a local compilation nominated for the 2026 Grammy Awards.
The album, The Modern Sound of Harare Townships, Roots Rocking Zimbabwe 1975 to 1980, has earned a 2026 Grammy nomination for Best Historical Album, standing proudly alongside international contenders including Doc Pomus and Super Disco Pirata. Released by Analog Africa, the compilation brings together 25 tracks that define a generation, fusing rock, rumba, soul and traditional rhythms during the charged years leading to independence between 1975 and 1980, with songs including Oliver Mtukudzi's Anoshereketa. The nomination adds to Zimbabwe's growing list of international honors, including the 2016 Grammy nod for Zimbabwe-born producer Tinashe Kola Sibanda and the 2022 Grammy win for Zimbabwean-American artist Alexandra Shungudzo Govere, who contributed as a writer, producer, and engineer on Angelique Kidjo's Mother Nature, which won Best Global Music Album. The latest nomination is more than an honor, but is a moment of national pride and cultural validation, showcasing Zimbabwe's musical sophistication and its timeless creative spirit to the entire world. Patience Nyagata, SABC News, Harare.
Still with our arts news, after a 2-year absence, the flagship Bulawayo Arts Awards are making a grand comeback with its 8th edition set for the 20th of next month at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair.
Having already released the nominees list featuring 35 categories, organizers of the awards have introduced a new category for content creators to celebrate online creatives for their contribution to the growth of the arts industry.
This year we are back, happening on December 20. One of the key unique things is we keep on celebrating arts excellence and the people who are involved in the arts, who are doing amazing works from music, theater, dance, poetry, among other categories. One of the key things this year, we also introduced a new category, which is outstanding online content creators, where we are saying even those who are creating content online creatively, we are giving them a chance to celebrate them and celebrate the work that they are doing for our arts scene.
This year's edition of the Bulawayo Arts Awards also features 2 special awards, the People's Choice and the Lifetime Achievement Awards.
We have 2 special awards, which is the People's Choice and the Life Achievement Awards. Those are also part of the awards that will be announced on the day.
In a heartfelt tribute, the organizers have renamed some categories in honor of the fallen icons who made lasting contributions to Bulawayo's arts scene. Some of the fallen icons include the lives of Babongile Skhonjwa, Desire Moyoxide Moyo, Phathisa Nyathi, and Sihlangu Dlodlo. Lisa Correa, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
That's it for a look at arts. When we come back, we take a look at all things sport, and Lawrence Tresida is on standby.
Final. Hakimi.
Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on Sports News this evening as we get to give you what has been happening through the day. My name is Lawrence Trusida. We start off with cricket where the Chevrons selectors have gone for continuity, naming a largely unchanged 15-man squad for the upcoming triangular series against Pakistan and Sri Lanka.
The Tri-Series begins on the 17th of this month with the Chevrons facing host Pakistan and Sri Lanka in Rawalpindi. The squad, announced as part of preparations for next year's ICC Men's T20 World Cup, retains the core of the team that recently faced Afghanistan at home. The only change sees young pacer Newman Nyamuri coming in for pacer spearhead Blessing Mzarabani, who has been ruled out through a back injury. Zimbabwe will open their campaign against host Pakistan in Rawalpindi on the 17th before taking on Sri Lanka at the same venue 2 days later. The team will then move to Lahore for the remaining round-robin fixtures. The top two teams will battle it out in the final set for the 29th of November in Lahore.
From the gentlemen's game, we move on to the most beautiful game where locally based national team players have arrived in Saudi Arabia ahead of the Warriors' international friendly match against Algeria set for Thursday in Jeddah.
Zimbabwe's Warriors have landed in Saudi Arabia for the first of two international friendlies lined up this week as preparations intensify for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The six locally based players, together with members of the backroom staff, touched down in Jeddah early Monday morning. Germany-based midfielder Jonah Fabisch also joined the squad en route to Saudi Arabia, with the rest of the foreign contingent expected to link up with the team by Monday evening. New head coach Mario Marinica is already in Saudi Arabia, accompanied by his trusted physiotherapist Chikondi Mandalasi, with whom he previously worked with in Malawi and Liberia. Also part of the technical team is highly rated South African video analyst Ronald Moroka, one of Marinica's new assistants. The Warriors are expected to conduct their first training session Monday evening before facing Algeria on Thursday and Qatar a few days later. The two friendlies will serve as crucial tune-ups for the AFCON finals slated for December in Morocco. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwe Football Association has appointed Tondera Indiraya, Joel Lupatla, and Joey Antipas to lead the coaches committee tasked with helping Marinica identify local talent. The committee, selected by Premier Soccer League coaches through a vote, will assist the upcoming camp for home-based players scheduled later this month, a key step in blending domestic and international talent for the Continental Showcase.
The start of a new era there for the Warriors. Moving on, the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Recreation has reaffirmed its commitment to supporting national teams as they prepare for the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON, the Hockey World Cup and the Rugby World Cup. The Zimbabwe national men's senior team, the Warriors, are set to take part in the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco next month, while the rugby, hockey and cricket national teams will feature in World Cups next year. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Recreation, Honorable Farai Jere, said they are happy with government's efforts to fund and equip the teams ahead of the tournaments. Let's get to hear the Honorable speaking.
We actually submitted our request to the minister to say we have got 3 teams which qualified for the World Cup, and we submitted our request to the minister to say, as a ministry, to the Minister of Finance, to say, Minister, can you look at this? We know our budgets, they are going to kickstart next year, but we have got the hockey team, which will be in Chile from the 13th to the 25th. So we submitted our request to the minister for them to also be funded. We also have got our warriors who will be in Morocco. We need them to be motivated, to be incentivized. So it's a submission which we also submitted to the Honorable Minister. Our rugby team will be in Australia in 2027. We need to start preparing now. So I think everything is in safe hands in as far as I'm concerned, and in as far as the budget is going on. I was also impressed to get a report from the Honorable Minister that the hockey team, when they were on the verge of pulling out, they were actually assisted by finance overnight. So these are the feedbacks which will be coming. So we are working very well with the ministry. We are working very well with the government.
That was the Honorable Faraijere, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Recreation, speaking on the government's commitment to supporting sport. Moving on, a torrid Kasolaga Premier Soccer League season for Zimbabwe's traditional Big Three, Highlanders, Dynamos and Caps United, is about to come to an end, with all the three giants having spent the campaign battling to avoid relegation rather than chasing titles.
The struggles of the country's most decorated clubs have highlighted a season of shifting power in domestic football, where smaller teams have risen to the challenge and consistently claimed big scalps. With the curtain set to come down, the Big Three will breathe a sigh of relief, but their fans will demand introspection and revival after a season that tested the pride and endurance of Zimbabwe's traditional giants. Caps United on 40 points are now safe, while Highlanders and Dynamos 2 points behind also look secure as teams below them face each other on the final day after the international break. Green Fuel on 36 points take on Triangle, who are just a point above them, and this match, regardless of results, will eliminate one team. A draw will see Green Fuel relegated, leaving Triangle banking on other results, while the winner of this fixture will likely survive. The other eliminator is the fixture between Manica Diamonds on 38 points against Bikita Minerals with 37 points. A draw will eliminate Bikita Minerals, while a win for either side will see the loser going to Division 1. Second from bottom, Yada, who play Simba Bora on the last day, can only reach a maximum of 38 points if they win. However, due to an inferior goal difference, they won't be able to overtake Highlanders even if Boso lose, while Dynamos need only a draw against FC Platinum to be certain of PSL status next season.
Exciting times ahead after the international break. That puts a wrap on sports news, and back to the main desk.
Well, thank you very much, Lawrence, for giving us all things sport. And that's it for our edition of today's main news. Good night.